Hello and welcome to this day in history for December 25th, and a very Merry Christmas to all of you, my dears. December 25th is the 359th day of the year in the Gregorian calendar, with 6 days remaining until the end of the year. Today's word is Gaminesque. This word comes to us from two parts put together. The first part, gamin, from the French, a noun, which means a girl with mischievous, boyish charm, a mischievous, playful, elfish girl or young woman, and the second part, esque, which is a suffix appended to nouns to form adjectives. Esque means in the style or manner of, or resembling. Esque also comes to us from the French, but also has corollaries in Italian, Latin, Germanic, Proto-Indo-European, Old English, and Old Norse, isk or ish being one of those variants. So, gamin plus esque forms an adjective which means playfully impudent, mischievously charming without sophistication. The earliest documented use of Gaminesque is 1886. I want to take a moment before we get started to remind you that links to my research are included in the show notes. So if you're wondering why and how I'm reporting a thing a certain way, check out those show notes. And with that, we're going to start on this day in 1492, when the ship Santa Maria, commanded by Christopher Columbus, ran onto a reef off Haiti due to the inexperience of the helmsman. Not the end of the world, though. They partially dismantled the ship to obtain timbers for Fort Navidad, or Christmas Fort. That fort was the first Spanish settlement in the New World, which Columbus had claimed for Spain. He thus regarded the wreck as providential. Halley's comet is a comet that returns about every 76 years. The comet's periodicity was first determined in 1705 by English astronomer Edmund Halley, after whom it is now named. On December 25th, 1758, the comet was sighted by Johann Georg Palach, confirming Edmund Halley's prediction of its passage. This was the first passage of a comet predicted ahead of time. 1776. During the American Revolution, Patriot General George Washington crossed the Delaware River with 5,400 troops, hoping to surprise a Hessian force who were celebrating Christmas at their winter quarters in Trenton, New Jersey. The unconventional attack came after several months of substantial defeats for Washington's army that had resulted in the loss of New York City and other strategic points in the region. American nurse and humanitarian Clara Barton, particularly notable for having founded the American Red Cross, was born on December 25, 1821. She lived to the age of 90. Polish-American businesswoman and philanthropist Helena Rubenstein was born on Christmas Day in 1870. If that name seems familiar to you, Ms. Rubenstein was the founder and eponym of Helena Rubenstein Incorporated Cosmetics Company, which made her one of the world's richest women. She lived to the age of 92. 1878, Swiss-American race car driver and businessman Louis Chevrolet was born on this date in 1878. Of course you recognize that name, Chevrolet. He co-founded the Chevrolet Motor Car Company in 1911. He died in 1941 at the age of 62. And speaking of cars, on December 25, 1880, an individual named Layne Hall was born. Some records indicate he may have been born in 1884. No matter whether it was 1880 or 1884, when he died in November of 1990, he was the oldest licensed driver in the United States. Layne was born in Mississippi and moved to New York near Buffalo in 1916. His nephew taught him how to drive, and he got his first license that fall. In nearly 75 years on the road, he never got so much as a speeding ticket or even a citation of any kind. Layne Hall drove his 1962 Cadillac Sedan DeVille to the grocery store, to the doctor's office, to visit friends, and even on dates, until he died on November 20th, 1990, at the age of either 106 or 110, depending on which record of his birth is accurate. This accomplishment got him a spot in the Guinness Book of World Records, edging out Mrs. Maud Toll of Inglewood, California, who remained behind the wheel until she was 104. American entrepreneur Conrad Hilton was born on December 25, 1887. He had an entrepreneurial bent from an early age. He came to Texas in his early 30s to buy a bank during an oil boom in 1919. That deal didn't work out, so he bought a hotel instead. That did work out well for him, and he went on to buy hotels in other parts of Texas. Before long, he was buying and building hotels elsewhere in the United States. The Great Depression was hard on him and his hotels, but he survived and went on to build his hotel empire further. He lived to the age of 91 and is buried at Calvary Hill Cemetery over in Dallas. 1899, the great American actor Humphrey Bogart was born on December 25th, 1899. He starred in a number of excellent films. It's hard to choose just one favorite among them. He died in 1957 at the age of 57. American singer, songwriter, and bandleader Cab Calloway was born on this day in 1907. He lived to the age of 86. In 1914, a series of unofficial truces occurred across the Western Front to celebrate Christmas. In addition to the research that led me to this, I came across a pretty cool video about this very subject, which I've linked in the show notes for you. 1918, Egyptian lieutenant and politician, third president of Egypt, Nobel Prize laureate Anwar Sadat was born on this day in 1918. Mr. Sadat was assassinated in 1981 at the age of 62. 1924, American screenwriter and producer Rod Serling was born on this date. He's probably the most remembered for having created The Twilight Zone. He died in 1975 at the age of 50. 1925, Peruvian-American anthropologist and author Carlos Castaneda was born on this date. He wrote a good dozen books, but is perhaps best known for The Teachings of Don Juan. He lived to the age of 72. On Christmas Day in 1941, Bing Crosby introduced White Christmas to the world. White Christmas, written by composer and lyricist Irving Berlin, received its world premiere on Bing Crosby's weekly NBC radio program, The Kraft Music Hall. It went on to become one of the most commercially successful singles of all time, and the top-selling single ever until being surpassed by Elton John's Candle in the Wind, 1997. 1943, Brazilian race car driver and businessman Wilson Fittipaldi Jr. was born on Christmas Day, 1943. Now, I haven't watched any car races in several years, but back when I did, I remember hearing this guy's name on a pretty regular basis. He ran the Fittipaldi Formula One team between 1974 and 1982, and as I read this in 2019, he's still alive, turned 76 today. 1946, W.C. Fields was an American actor, comedian, juggler, and screenwriter. His comic persona was a misanthropic and hard-drinking egotist who remained a sympathetic character despite his supposed contempt for children and dogs. Don't tell me I don't love children. I love children, especially girl children about the age of 19. W.C. Fields died on this day in 1946 at the age of 66. On December 25, 1962, To Kill a Mockingbird, a film based on the 1960 Pulitzer Prize-winning novel of the same name by Harper Lee, opened in theaters. In 1977, Israeli Prime Minister Menachem Begin met in Egypt with its president Anwar Sadat. There were a great number of birthdays and death days of notables and creatives throughout the years. I'll just tell you a few of them right now. For example, American actress Sissy Spacek, Scottish singer-songwriter Annie Lennox, American singer-songwriter Jimmy Buffett were all born on December 25th in various years. English actor and director Charlie Chaplin, the Romanian dictator and his wife Nicolae and Elena Ceausescu, American baseball player and manager Billy Martin, American singers Dean Martin and James Brown, British singer and songwriter George Michael, and American astronomer Vera Rubin, all died on December 25th in various years. On December 25th of 1991, Mikhail Gorbachev announced that he was resigning as president of the Soviet Union. But the Soviet Union, for all intents and purposes, had already ceased to exist, as 11 of the former Soviet republics had already established the Commonwealth of Independent States. effectively dismembering the USSR. And that's all I have for you today. As always, links to my research are included in the show notes. Thank you so much for watching. Give it a like if you enjoyed this video. Consider subscribing if you haven't already, and feel free to share this video. While you're here, check out my other channel, 8 Susquehanna. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time. Alrighty, back to work. Okie dokie, Smokey. Let's just rearrange that a little bit. That's not the way I like to tell it anyway. Smoother, be smoother. We don't need all those words. I'm going to have to look at that. Who knows what evil lurks in the hearts of men? She's not a man. See, this is what happens when we're not scripted. This is why I don't do live shows.